Anthropic does not want you to do this math. Claude Opus 4.8 just landed, and the usual crowd is falling over itself to worship at the altar of bigger benchmarks. Bigger context, bigger everything. But here is who is really winning when you spin up Opus 4.8 in production. It is not you. It is not your users. It is Anthropic's balance sheet. And in my analysis, this appears to be by design. Anthropic has built a reputation as the responsible AI lab. The adults in the room. The ones who care about safety while OpenAI and Google race each other off a cliff. Fine, great branding. But branding is not architecture. And when you peel back the press release on Opus 4.8, you start to see a pattern that looks less like scientific progress and more like a pricing escalator with no down button. Every generation of Opus gets denser, gets hungrier for compute, and gets more expensive per million tokens of inference. And every generation, Anthropic tells you the cost is justified because the benchmarks went up. Let me give you 3 reasons that story falls apart under pressure. First, the benchmark selection. Anthropic highlighted Opus 4.8 gains on reasoning-heavy academic benchmarks, graduate-level math, multi-step logic chains, impressive numbers, beautiful charts. But look at what is missing from the headline metrics. Production-relevant latency under concurrent load. Token per second throughput when you are running a RAG pipeline that needs to retrieve, rank, and synthesize across 50,000 chunks of enterprise documentation. In that scenario, which is where most paying customers actually live, the evidence suggests Opus 4.8 is slower than its predecessor per dollar spent. You are paying more to wait longer. That is not a capability leap. That is a tax. Second, the fine-tuning lock-in. Anthropic offers fine-tuning for Opus, but the wait access story remains tightly controlled. You cannot export your fine-tuned weights to run on your own infrastructure at will. You are renting capability, not owning it. Compare that to the open weight ecosystem, where Llama, Mistral, and QN derivatives let you fine-tune, quantize to 4-bit, and deploy on a single node for a fraction of the cost. Opus 4.8 appears designed to make the switching cost so high that once your team has built prompts, evaluations, and tooling around it, leaving feels like rewriting your codebase. That is not technical superiority. That is a roach motel. Third, the safety premium. Anthropic charges more and justifies part of that margin as the cost of constitutional AI alignment work baked into the model. And I respect the research. But when safety features add latency and cost to every single inference call, and when those features cannot be toggled off for internal workloads where you have already built your own guardrails, you are paying for someone else's risk model on every API call whether you need it or not. That is a margin disguised as a principle. If you are watching this and feeling the friction, good. That means you are thinking instead of applauding. Subscribe. The people making these decisions at your company need to hear this before they sign the next annual contract. Now, the strongest counterargument. Opus 4.8 genuinely appears to produce higher quality output on complex agentic tasks. Multi-tool orchestration, long horizon planning, nuanced instruction following. These are real gains. I am not denying that. But here is the dismantle. Quality only matters at a price point your unit economics can survive. A model that produces perfect output but costs 4 times more per request than a slightly less perfect alternative is not better. It is a luxury good being sold as infrastructure. And most teams do not need luxury. They need reliability at scale, which smaller, cheaper, open models increasingly deliver after proper fine-tuning and eval work. So here is where we land. Anthropic appears to be running the classic enterprise playbook. Build the best product, price it at the top, make migration painful, and wrap it all in a mission statement that makes you feel guilty for shopping around. Claude Opus 4.8 is not a breakthrough for you. In my analysis, it is a breakthrough for Anthropic Series D metrics. The real question is whether you are going to keep paying the premium because the vibes feel safe, or whether you are going to run the actual inference cost math on your own workloads and find out that a fine-tuned open model gets you 90% of the way there at 20% of the price. So tell me, are you choosing Claude Opus because the benchmarks prove it is worth it, or because you are afraid to bet on yourself and do the optimization work.